Hey folks, welcome to another episode of SEM Sessions, Christmas edition 2018. If you haven't joined us before, this is a raw, uncut, unedited video series where we teach you how you can attract, convert, and retain more customers to your brand through search marketing. I'm your host, Riley Farbaugh. Also with me today is Nate Boland.
Howdy.
We're doing a little series, little Christmas series about using Tag Manager and how to deploy analytics and Search Console and Google Ads. This episode is focused on how to create events and goals in Google Analytics using Google Tag Manager. We are working on Nate's agency site, Mean Peak Design. Nate, what do we want to track on this website?
So essentially what I want to be tracking is button clicks, mainly buttons that go directly to the contact form, and then so that work with us button right there, and then just the button on the contact form that submits the form. Are the two buttons that should be being tracked.
Awesome. All right, so we have a previous video where we set up Google Tag Manager for Nate. And if you aren't familiar with Google Tag Manager, go check that one out. But we are going to dive in here and get some of these events firing. So a little bit of background here. Why would you want to set up goals in GA and have events firing? Nate, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
So the simplest explanation is that it just helps you track your users better. So if I know that people are clicking here and it goes there, it just helps me track it better. It's just sort of like an internal version of Search Console. Search Console gives you queries. This sort of just gives you more insight on what people are doing in your site and how they're leading to certain places such as contact forms. And this is really valuable information if you want to basically optimize your site better. It's really useful for A/B testing, and just overall, it's just more information to help you grow your brand online. I'm sure you can add to that as well. There's just so much you can do with it.
Yeah, so I think as marketers, we want to be like goal oriented. So when we're setting up these events, usually we're setting them up as steps that we want a user to take in their conversion path. So, maybe we can set up goals for lead gen. We can set up goals for button clicks or page views, or transactions, or add to carts, or things like that. So in Nate's case, as a service business, he wants to track contact forms and even just people who click the button to go towards his contact form. And that will enable him to say, okay, my form has a 20% conversion rate from button click to submitted form, right? So then if he was A/B testing that, he could say, how do I get more people to, send me messages? And you're using that conversion rate. So let's dive in and let's get the form. Let's make sure that we're tracking this form submission. So we're in Google Tag Manager. I've enabled the preview mode. For those of you who aren't familiar, this box on the bottom of the screen is Google Tag Manager's preview mode. So I'll reload the page and you'll see some of the tags that fire. We just have one tag in here at the moment, which is the GA General Page View tag. And what we're going to do now is set up a tag that will fire on button click or even form submission. Form submission is a little trickier because a lot of the WordPress plugins don't play well with it. So we're going to use button click in this example. So we're going to come into Tag Manager, and first we have to set up a trigger. And the trigger is basically you're saying, okay, I have this tag I want to fire to let Google Analytics know someone submitted a form on this page. But when am I going to fire that tag? So the trigger is telling Google Tag Manager when to fire that tag. So I'm going to name this contact form button click. and we are going to track. We're going to track clicks on links, and we are going to wait for the tag to validate. We're not going to check validation. We're just going to, and we're going to fire it on some link clicks. So when I click this link, and actually, I don't know if it's a link, so we're going to, okay, restart. We're actually going to track all clicks, but we're going to track them sometimes, right? So the page path, the path is basically the slug, which would be the URL minus the domain. So this is the path right here, contact us. And we're just going to say that it contains contact us and save. And is that the only button on the page?
Yep,
yes.
That's the only button on that page.
It is. So we could just leave it at that. I'm also going to dig in a little further just to show you guys what's possible in terms of the triggers here. So I'm going to actually also say that my click text, and okay, so first thing, we're going to come in here, we're going to open up our preview, and we're going to click this button, and it's going to be click 6. So we're going to note that it's click 6, and we're going to come over to variables, and we're going to see what we can find out here. So our page path is contact us. We already specified that. And then usually we'll see a click text or a click ID here as well. We're not seeing that, so we're just going to do, I guess we're just going to do the page path. Oftentimes when you click a button, for example, we'll come back to this in a sec, but I just want to show you guys some of the other data that comes through on a click. Starting to lose my voice here. Been filming too much. So if I click this button, actually, you're going to have to look at this really quickly. If I click this button and then come here and then come here, oh, I didn't make it. Let's see. Well, I'm not going to elaborate on it, but basically the thing to acknowledge here is that other variables can come through in this tag manager preview, some of which might be click text, click ID, click class, things like that. So just be aware of that in case you have more than one button on the page. In this case, we don't. So we're just going to use page path. And we're going to click, we're going to, we're going to do, this might not work, but we're going to try it. I think that this trigger is going to fire anytime someone clicks anywhere on this page. For example, here. But we shall see. We might need to change that trigger to be on a form submission, but we're going to try it as is. So then we're going to fire a tag, and we're going to name this tag contact form submission. And this is a Google Analytics tag, and it's an event. So we're going to say, stay here, oops, track type event, and we're going to say category, contact form, action, button click, label, contact form, button click. And these are pretty arbitrary fields here. You can name these whatever you want. And we're going to send that to Nate's Analytics account. So anytime you set up a tag, you're also going to have to specify a trigger. We just created this trigger. I think we're going to have to redo it because we'll see. But so we're going to save that tag. And now we're going to mosey our way back here. We're going to reload this page. And we're going to see our general page view tag fire. There's our general page view. And now I'll show you guys why I think we're going to have to redo this. It is because if I click anywhere on the page, the tag did not fire. If I click the button, the tag still did not fire. Why did the tag not fire? Let's do some troubleshooting here. So our trigger, maybe if we just get rid of these and save that, maybe that'll fix it. No. So I think I should be seeing this tag down here where it says tag's not fired. Maybe I have to publish the container, although I don't think so. I shouldn't have to. Okay, let's try a hard refresh here. Still not seeing that other tag.
Odd.
Very odd. Odd indeed. All right, let's submit it. Publish the container and see if that changes. We're going to name this contact form button click. We're going to publish. And we'll try it again. Okay. All right. So.
Okay, there we go.
Here's our general page view tag, and you'll notice that Tag Manager recorded a click from me that was somewhere up here in the middle of nowhere, and that then fired this tag. So we're going to actually have to come back into Tag Manager. I kind of expected this, and we're going to have to edit this trigger, right? So this trigger
for that button.
Exactly, it's exactly right. And because I'm not seeing any data coming in when I click that button, like normally, like if I click this, 6, 8, what I should see in the variables is a form ID that I'm not seeing. So there's some data that I'm expecting to see here that I'm not, and that's making this a bit more challenging than it should be. So that was 11. Yeah, I'm just not seeing the variables come through that I'm expecting. So let's try a form submission instead. We're going to do form submission, and we're going to do some forms, and our only condition is that the form is on this page. And we're going to save, and we're going to submit. Contact form submission. And let's check this container again and say we're going to reload the page. And we should see a page view tag here. There's our general page view. If I click around, and we're encountering an issue that Nate and I encountered earlier, which is clicks don't register in our window. You notice that?
The button registers.
But let's see if the contact form submission tag is working. Send it. All right, there we go. Our tag fired. And you can see if we go into analytics, we should see that event come through. Contact form.
There it is.
Button click. There it is, folks. So there, we have successfully tracked form submissions on his contact page. That is good news. We can try to track the buttons, but let's see. Let's evaluate this now. I'm expecting more data to come through on some of these clicks, and like I said, Nate and I have had some problems with Tag Manager already this morning. Basically, I'm clicking right now, and I should see these clicks popping up here, and I'm not, which is making a lot of this more challenging than it should be. So we're not going to be able to track button clicks, but just because I want to show people and just, kind of keep creating some tags and show people what's possible with this, let's create another tag for page views. Yeah? Contact form page view. And we're going to fire an event. Right? So we're going to say Google Analytics. And yeah, something's going on with Google Tag Manager today because it's super slow and a lot of the data that I'm expecting to see just isn't there. But contact form, page view, contact form, page view, value 49 cents. And we're sending that there, and we're going to trigger this. We're going to create a new trigger here, and we're just going to say contact form page view, and we're going to fire this trigger on page view, but only on some pages where the path contains contact us. And we're going to save that. All right, so now we should have events firing when someone views the contact page or submits the form. And also there's tags firing on every page view. So if I come in here and I'll submit it just because it's been giving me headaches today. So contact form page view, publish, and we'll do a hard refresh here. All right, so what we should see here is 1, the general page view tag, and then 2, we should have an event firing on this page view in particular. And we are seeing that. We should also see a tag below these which did not fire, which is the form submission. And we are seeing that. So everything appears to be working here, and we can show again. We can show again how these tags fire on the actual form submission. Boom, and there it is. Contact form submission right there in the middle. So that's great. Nate is now able to see those in his Google Analytics. You can see the page view, the button click, and now he can actually go into his analytics and set up those events as goals. So we're going to set up a goal that tracks contact form submissions. So the difference between an event and a goal, Nate, do you want to take a stab at that?
I would think that an event would be an actual occurrence, so something that actually happened. So I click on a button, and then a goal would be like a dream. If somebody clicks on this button, I don't know.
So you're not wrong. In the context of Google Analytics, though, An event is any sort of tag firing. We can specify, what events we want to track. And then goals are very similar. The way that you create a goal is by specifying an event as a goal. So in order to create goals, you have to create events, but you can have events that aren't goals as well. So kind of confusing, but...
it's Google.
Yep. So right now, we're creating a goal in Nate's Google Analytics profile, mean peak, that is going to fire, or that's going to, show when an event occurs that matches the following conditions. So in Tag Manager, if we go back and we say, what were our tags here? I'm going to leave preview mode because we're done with it, I think. So if we check the tag that we want to track as a goal, right? A tag is firing an event is being tracked as a goal. So we can check the tag. We want contact form submission here. We can come in and we can say, what data is this tag sending to Google Analytics? And here it is right here, category, contact form, action, button click. And actually, that's not true anymore because we're now tracking form submissions. So I'm going to change that. The action is actually form submit. And we'll change the label also, form submit. And that's actually worth $10 to me because that is a highly qualified lead. Okay, so contact form submission. This is the tag that's firing the event, and we're tracking the event. So in Google Analytics, we're going to come over. We're going to say the category is contact form. The action is form submit, and the label is contact form underscore form submit. And we don't really care about the value right now. We're going to use the event value as the goal value. The event value, again, here is 10. And we're going to save that. So Nate can now track those in Google Analytics. He can also pull those goals into his Google AdWords campaigns so that when he's optimizing his campaigns, he can optimize them around things that are valuable to him, like leads and form submissions. So I think that wraps up our video on how to create events and goals in Google Analytics. Our next video in this Christmas series is how to set up your first paid search advertising campaign on Google Ads. So tune into the next episode and we'll see you there.